With right to work, a state lottery, a strongly contested political race between a U.S. Senator and Idaho governor, and a race between a current lieutenant governor and former governor, November 4th election turnouts may break Idaho voting records. That means you, as voters, will want to become familiar with other candidates as well. You'll meet shortly the challengers for the state Senate seat in District 16. Welcome to Candidate Connection, sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Boise and United Cable Television. The League is a nonpartisan organization that encourages citizen participation in government. Like all legislative districts in Ada County, District 16's outline is messy. Listen for the street names as I label the boundaries. Starting at 28th and Pierce Park Road at the northeast corner, going generally clockwise, the boundary goes south to Hill Road. Then Hill to 36th, 36th to State, State to 19th, 19th to Main, which goes into the interstate, off onto Franklin with a jump north onto Mitchell, Mitchell to Fairview, Fairview to Cole, Cole to the Rim, west on the Rim to Coffee, a short lag on the Boise River to Bogart, Bogart to Hill, which works east into Pierce Park. Running for the Idaho Senate is Perry Waddell, a Democrat and political science major at Boise State University. Mr. Waddell worked as an intern in the legislature in 1986 and is a product of the Idaho school system. Bill Ringert is serving his fourth year as Republican senator in the Idaho legislature. He has practiced law for 24 years and is currently on the Idaho State Building Authority. His Senate committee assignments include the Joint Finance and Appropriations Committee and Resources and Environment. Welcome, gentlemen. Mr. Waddell, you consider yourself a product of the Idaho school system. Those are your words. Are you a product of a good school system?
Yes, I was very happy in the school system. The teachers were really great. The problems we're having now with the money situation is really saddening to me. A lot of my old teachers that I've remained friends with have either left the state or left teaching altogether. And with every one of them, I feel it's a real detriment to our schools. But I feel good about Idaho schools. I don't like the idea of seeing Idaho as 50th in the state as of spending per pupil. For when people are moving to the state, they do not know the quality teachers and the good schools we have. They may just see that and think otherwise of coming to Idaho. So appropriating monies to public and universities is very important to me.
Okay. Let's focus on your campaign. What do you consider, Mr. Waddell, the single central issue of your campaign?
Well, the central issue, which is probably the central issue to all campaigns in the state this year, is Idaho's economy. The legislature, I don't believe, has taken the steps necessary to help steer our economy in the right direction. With the problems we had to our base jobs, our agriculture, timber, and mining, we have to look for new places for Idaho people to work in, while also trying to revitalize our three base industries. And I don't feel the legislature has been pushing our economy well enough in that direction. They're waiting for something to happen, and nothing is going to happen.
Senator Ringert, the single central issue of your campaign?
Well, Vicki, I don't think I can centralize it on one issue. To me, there are very many issues involved in state government, very important decisions to be made by the state legislature, as is always the case. I'd prefer to select major issues such as education, revenue, the state's economy, as Mr. Waddell said, is not in the greatest shape. However, I don't view state government as being the prime vehicle to revitalize the economy. There are limited things that state government can do to help. but I think it has to depend for the most part on the private sector. So, and of course we have other carryover problems and issues from past years, hazardous waste siting and disposal problems, the insurance issue that was addressed somewhat in the last session, but I don't think we've seen the last of it. That's a very important consideration to a lot of people in the state.
You're saying that state government has a role, but they are not the only responsible party for our economy. And Mr. Waddell is saying that the legislature hasn't steered our economy in the right direction. What can we do about that? What can you, as a legislator, do about it, Senator Ringert?
Well, Vicki, I believe that one of the most important things that state legislature can do is remove obstacles, or at least not put more obstacles in the path of new businesses coming into the state and old businesses already here. I also believe that there could be some tax incentives for newly developing industries. I don't see much reason to provide additional tax incentives for existing businesses that are doing all right. The tendency then is to take advantage of those, and they don't produce any offsetting benefit. I do believe that some of our administrative regulations in various areas are a little bit too strict. I think that they discourage people from establishing businesses in this state. There are a lot of things that the government can do without spending money on the some of the programs that the Department of Commerce has suggested in the past.
Okay. Critics often say that the failure of Idaho to grasp the economic recovery enjoyed elsewhere in the nation is a result of conservative spending philosophy. Do you agree with that, Mr. Waddell?
Well, I believe the primary way to put the economy back on track is through education. And though, like Mr. Ringert said, the state can't be the only medium playing the role to put the state on a better economy. Education has been shown, especially in high-tech industries, to be the major, if not the most major, factor in businesses locating in the state. The city of Austin, Texas, had 15 high-tech businesses located around their area. When they showed to them how they were going to dedicate money to the university for research and development, which the high-tech industries work very closely with universities in research and developing new chips, etc. So by committing to education, you're going to have a snowball effect. More jobs are going to come to the state, more businesses are going to come to the state, tax rolls will increase, then we'll put more money into education and more, and our economy can prosper.
All right, let me ask Senator Ringert to comment on a critic saying failure of Idaho to grasp economic recovery is a result of conservative spending philosophy.
Well, I don't really agree with that, Vicki. I think Idaho's present economic condition is due to its very heavy dependence on resource-based industries, mining, timber, and agriculture. Mining is in dire straits as I view it. I think I read in the paper this morning that Hecla Mining Company is not going to pay any dividend in this quarter. They suffered another substantial loss. The timber industry has a lot of competition from Canada, and the growing timber industry in the southeastern part of the United States. And agriculture is, in my view, in very bad shape. Well, I do, unfortunately, mortgage foreclosure work in my private practice, and there's a lot more of that than I care to see, but nonetheless it's an economic reality. I suppose that criticism is directed toward the legislature's appropriations for the Department of Commerce. I think part of that, perhaps the major portion of it, is because the legislatures statewide don't necessarily agree with the programs that the department was proposing. If you get the programs in line with what the bulk of the people in the state want to see, I suspect you'll see a lot more funding. And I don't think we can rely on importation of new industry as a cure-all for our economic woes. Our location, our transportation differential with other areas, both incoming raw products for and components for things that the new industries use, and our transportation out of the state of finished products and raw products that we have to export to other areas for finishing. All those factors come into play, and they have to be dealt with before new industries will come in here and establish themselves.
Okay. Well, I want to give Mr. Waddell an opportunity to expand on his strong feelings that I'm hearing about education. Do you feel that teacher salaries should be raised to be more compatible with the national average?
Yes, that'll be a major factor since they have been, to keep them in the state, since they've been suffering through the pay freezes in the last few years. But also, like Mr. Ringert was talking about, the Department of Commerce, it is also very vital in, we not only need to just attract new businesses to the state, we also need to promote Idaho's products abroad and in other states and even at home, so that people learn, you know, which products are Idaho products so they can buy them. And the Department of Commerce, whose job it is to do that, was appropriated $200,000 for economic development. Our neighbors, Oregon and Washington, each spent $16 million. Each got $16 million for the same programs, though I don't feel that Idaho, in its size and location, could nearly afford $16 million or even $1 million. I feel the appropriation was way, way too low. I think they, though everybody may not agree with what programs they had, there's private organizations too that are doing the same things. The Department of Commerce now does not have enough money to publish the data, the business outlook kind of sort of data that new businesses need before they will come to the state, or before they're ready to make the investment to expand their present facilities. Mm-hmm. So I think it's not only education, it's, though I feel that is the base, then you got the promotion of Idaho, the Department of Commerce, and then you have, and that's just the state's role. You know, it's not the only role, it's just the state, the main base role.
I would, if I might interrupt, I would agree to an extent, but we also do a lot of promotional work in private industry. For instance, the Idaho Potato Commission has a large budget and does a very effective job of marketing Idaho potatoes and making them known. Other commissions do likewise. So it's there has been and will continue to be heavy participation by private industry in that. And I do agree that there's an area for the Department of Commerce to do promotional work. And I'm sure we'll get to the point where the legislature agrees with the department's philosophy, but I don't think we'll see a whole lot more funding for it until then.
In the 5 minutes we have remaining, I'd like to invite each of you gentlemen to ask a question of your opponent. Mr. Waddell, what would you like to ask Senator Ringert?
Well, Senator, the three main roads that Idaho state government, the three main areas that it has to work with in order to promote Idaho's economy are public education, higher education, and the Department of Commerce. Each of these three areas was funded way below the governor's recommendations this year. Mm-hmm. And though I do feel that taxpayers' money should be spent in a responsible manner, you voted in favor of the appropriations for higher education, you voted in favor of the appropriations for public schools, and you voted in favor of the appropriations for Department of Commerce. Mm-hmm. How do you feel these three areas, which I believe are too far underfunded to properly function, are going to help Idaho's economy?
Well, I don't think I attach quite the significance to well, let's put it this way. I don't think increased educational opportunities or wider programs or higher teacher salaries are the sole answer to solving Idaho's economic situation. I voted for the bills that you mentioned after, for the most part, almost an 80-day session, I believe it was, not quite that long. But we sit on the Joint Finance and Appropriation Committee, hear every single budget that comes through, and make the best evaluation we can of what to do with the money that is available. It then becomes the responsibility of the Rev and Tax Committee to decide to put out a bill that the rest of the legislature can work on to raise the necessary funding. You'll recall at least a 30-day stalemate before Rev and Tax did anything. I did not perceive that we were going to get anything more out of Rev and Tax than came out with the temporary increase in the sales tax. I also did not perceive that a public school bill, a public education bill in excess of the, I think it was $314 million, would pass. You get to the point where there's a point of compromise, and it just simply won't go beyond that if you stay there all year. Higher education, I would have preferred to boost that appropriation perhaps $1 million or so, but again, you get to the point where you see the compromise that's going to be struck, and that's where the appropriations wind up. On the Department of Commerce bill, as I've said before, I prefer the promotional part, or excuse me, the nuts and bolts of the economy to be picked up in the private sector. I don't think we can rely on the Department of Commerce as our cure-all for developing trade. The private sector has to get involved, and they are.
Can I add something?
Okay, let me just very quickly wind this down by asking you, Mr. Waddell, what would you bring to the next legislative session?
I would hope to bring some not leadership, but some insight into some of these areas, and to help. I feel the best lobbyist for other senators for a senator is another senator. And if Mr. Ringert felt that the appropriations should have been a little higher in these areas, why didn't he try to lobby the Republican leadership and his fellow legislatures into voting for better appropriations in accordance with his beliefs?
Well, I lobbied my fellow legislators in the Senate up to the $314 million and the 90 point whatever it was. They started out much lower than that.
Senator Ringert, why should you remain a lawmaker?
Well, the past 4 years have given me a great deal of insight, experience, and education into the state government process that I didn't possess when I first started. My service the past 2 sessions on the Joint Finance and Appropriation Committee has been invaluable. I'd like to be able to use those tools.
Okay. Thank you, candidates, for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you, voters, for watching. Remember to exercise your voting privilege November 4th. Register to vote with your precinct registrar through October 17th and with county elections October 24th. On behalf of United Cable and League of Women Voters, thank you for watching. I'm Vicki Paulson.